What's good, everybody? This is Mr. Composition, the MC that writes fiction, back at it with another review. This is for Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 236. Oh, man, the chapter is called Heading South. Now, this was such a controversial chapter, and a lot of the speculations was off the leaks and spoilers. And so now we got the official translation. And there's there's still a lot to unpack with this. It starts off with Gojo in this seemingly spiritual realm with the dead ops. And he's having this conversation with Geto, which is just super interesting. And they're in how they looked when they were younger. And so that was very, very interesting. And so basically he's going back and forth with, their different viewpoints with things, and get to ask about Sukuna, and Gojo goes on to say that he was crazy strong and that Sukuna didn't even go all out and that he felt sorry for him and he can empathize with a magnitude of sheer solitude more than anyone else. We get some imagery here which allows for our Gojo copium to be on level 9,000. I don't care. I am a Gojo fan and I don't think that he is done for. But in this chapter, he goes on to say how he gave it all he had and that it was fun, and you see a couple other people, you see Anonymous, which was dope. You see Habara, which is dope. You see the principal. You even see Toji in the background, a couple of things. But one of the big things that he has this conversation with Nanami, and after Gojo asked Nanami, like, hey, how was it for you as far as dying? And he explained, his experiences seeing Habara and everything like that. But he explained that Miss May said, when I asked her about recommendations for leaving the country, and she said, if you want to start anew, head north. If you want to return to your old self, head south. Without hesitation, I chose somewhere south. And Nanami says, I'm such a backwards looking person, and yet I bet on the future in my final moments. Gojo's just all like, I see. And he goes out to, he says to the principal, wasn't there supposed to be no such thing as a sorcerer dying without any regrets? And so he kind of gives this, shout. Everyone's kind of like laughing and everything like that. And Gojo says, I pray this all isn't just my imagination. Then we see him bleeding on the ground, which is a trip because we come from this 1 week break. We get all of this information saying Gojo to recovered his, curse technique after just doing all this stuff. And then to see him on the ground. And Sukuna just explained it as far as Maharaga's adaptation process and how basically, in a nutshell, he used Maharaga as a kind of like blueprint and a model to how he himself, Sukuna, can evolve his own stuff. And so we're seeing a freaking Gojo sliced up, like, and it's pretty brutal. But a lot of people say that, due to this main fact, even though Sakura is just like, you were magnificent, Satoru Gojo, I shall never forget you as long as I live, with a smile. And then Gojo has a smile as well. But then we get freaking Kashimo coming through. And it says right here, without taking any time to mourn the death of Satoru Gojo, soaring towards the battlefield was Hajime Kashimo, the god of lightning. Now, it says as far as mourning the death, but we've heard this before. And I feel like that representation was, again, with Toji, with him wearing Toji's clothes, with him even having a thought about Toji during this battle. What happened to then? He said he killed Satoru Gojo. said Satoru Gojo was dead. And there was something specifically Gojo had said. He said, "You should have cut off my head." Gojo's head isn't cut off here. So much so that he smiled to show that, hey, there was still, he was hearing as far as what was being said. Now, it could have been a smile as far as what was, he was just imagining and different things like that. But with the way that the paneling was, we're going to go with what Sukuna had said. Now, Sukuna wouldn't be aware of this whole thing with the head. And we've also seen other characters be completely ripped in half and still move, So this is why people are saying, no, he's not dead. Now, what could happen? So, in regards to this particular chapter, this was a crazy chapter. If Gojo is gone, do I think that it was a good send off for him to be off screen? I don't know, but it's just like, do we really want to see like the goriness of a favorite character that you like getting completely, wrecked? I think this is as subtle as it could be, baby. But with Kashimo coming into play, he's got his one technique he's been saving and he's been itching for this. So that's why it was just all like there wasn't even any type of, thought at all. He was just already there on the battlefield. So narratively speaking, it wouldn't make sense for Kashimo to be the one to defeat Sukuna. It just wouldn't be. But do I think that he's going to give him a good battle? I think so. But my main thing is if Sukuna has just got this power that allows him to cut through space, and he could cut through someone who has a barrier of sorts. I don't understand really how any of the other characters are really going to survive because he could just cut them up, So I feel like this is going to be explained more in chapter 237. I don't think that there is a break this week when I'm doing the review. It is Monday, so I don't think that there's a break this week. So we'll see. As far as Gojo, I don't think he's dead. It could be me on that Gojo copium, but just with what was stated from the author and the words of the character themselves, because he's not headless, there's still a possibility that he could reverse curse technique this joint or be able to hold out for someone to come possibly and help. But then it'll just be like, so I feel like something would have to be sacrificed from Gojo for him to survive and stay in the story, because it'll almost be like the same thing, which would be basically Sakura cutting him up and him coming back, healing, and nothing really, it would be a back and forth. So I think that without the six eyes and the limitless, because Sakura could cut through that anyways, there's got to be something else that possibly, and I've heard this rumor before, like Gojo sacrificing the six eyes, he can stay alive, he can still fight, he may still be strong, but not as strong, or maybe it wouldn't make sense for him to be even more stronger. He pretty much needs to be nerfed at this point as far as his powers concerned, but he could still stay in the cast with everyone. And I think that there might have been a lot of symbology with Gojo always covering up his eyes to the fact that maybe he might end up being blind just to stay alive, which I would take. I'm not gonna lie. I would honestly take that. I personally don't want Gojo to die, but I understand from a narrative standpoint that something needed to happen to Gojo for this, and to let the other fighters come through. Finally, we're gonna get someone else battling. There's still Kenjaku somewhere, there's still the other person that was, with Sukuna. I can't remember their name, but Gojo jacked them up. But yeah, it's interesting. We're gonna see. My predictions in regards to 237, we should get some either confirmation that Gojo is like legit dead, or it could be interesting as far as a 2v1 Kashimo and Gojo versus Sukuna, and Gojo has like he doesn't have his limitless anymore. I don't know, but even just getting them off the battlefield would be great. But let me know what y'all think. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I'm curious to see what ends up happening, but all the while, I'm excited that we get some new fights. But let me know what y'all think. Again, it's Mr. Composition MC that writes fiction. Back at it with another review. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, notification bells on so you don't miss when I drop a new video on the road to 5K. Peace.
Yo, the black sheep of the black sheeps. Yo, it gets grim when the pen reaps. Silence when the honor one speaks. Gotta work while everyone sleeps. Can't sleep on the work that I do the beats. Being ready for the return to fall. Maybe I should be asleep, but these full moon vibes got me in the deep. Emotional roller coaster strapped in my seat, ready for a trip to find what I seek. Passing through the galaxy into my office, translating thoughts into deep science. Got the sun in my pocket, building resilience. So when the next winter cycle comes, I prepare with no losses. The work of the soul.